And on this day, Speed O Sound Sonic was declared to be a woman. I think we all, when we saw that scene, we prayed for his gems. Because let's take a moment to consider what Sonic just hit. Saitama, as we have seen since episode 1, is undefeatable. You can't touch this man. Like, at the very least, put a wound on him. And think about this. If you were to hit someone as hard as you could that doesn't really react to anything or get hurt, it's like hitting a brick wall or a concrete wall. But in this case, imagine if your nuts hit a fucking concrete wall that was jabbed at you. That, unpleasant. I think Sonic, he probably right now is in, I don't even want to begin to imagine the pain he's probably feeling after that. When I saw that scene, it looked so much more brutal than the manga. I remember the manga, but seeing this, that was just brutal. The bulge moved, it just fucking moved. It just moved. You just see the ricochet off the fist. I'm like, oh! Even the technical difficulty scene, that's pretty good. I like that. But still, the bulge, the move, that was too good. That was too good. That was everything I wanted from this episode. Just to see how that scene was done, and just to see how he reacted after trying to keep up a straight face as he's just holding down. They're like, oh my god, and he's trying to keep up a straight face. Saitama turned him into a woman. Just... Okay. So, hello everybody, it's Chibi, and today I'm here to bring all of you my weekly anime reviews of One Punch Man. So, if you don't know by now, One Punch Man is a must-watch series, and if you have yet to watch this episode, and you're just now hearing about this episode, what you doing? Go watch it, because personally, this is one of the better episodes, or one of the best episodes of One Punch Man, in my opinion, because Sonic is one of my favorite characters, and seeing him in this episode with his voice actor, and also seeing how he reacted to Saitama with a smile, there's just so many iconic moments from One Punch Man that was in the manga that I got to see animated, like that smile, the smile of Sonic, when he turns around and smiles at Saitama, and Saitama's like, oh, look at that childish grin. Where in the fuck, or how in the fuck do you think that is a childish grin? Saitama, how do you think that's a childish grin? That grin looks like someone that's about to fillet your face off. That's exactly what Sonic's face looked like. And when Saitama says, oh, look at that childish cute grin. Okay, so the main point of this episode, once again, is making fun of shonens along with showcasing the standard comedy we've gotten used to from One Punch Man. Now, the main focus of this episode, which we can get towards the end, is that it is about Saitama trying to make a name for himself. Because if you think about it, take a few moments to really process this, throughout the entirety of One Punch Man so far from what we've seen in anime-wise, One Punch Man, or Saitama, nobody knows him. Like, Genos didn't know him, or anyone he ever encounters doesn't know him. He's a no-name. Like, nobody knows him. And, I mean, you don't really stop to think about this until you start thinking about it, or it's mentioned, and you're like, oh shit, he's doing all this stuff, going after all these people, taking up these criminals, these villains, these super villains that could be in-game bosses in different shonen. He's taking them all out in one punch, but nobody knows about him. How the fuck is this possible? And from what we get to find out is that this other dude in this episode that got introduced, Licenseless Rider, he has it to where he takes the credit for what happened in this episode. Now, of course, the dude was unconscious, and he wasn't aware of what was really going on, but he took the credit for it. So it goes to show you probably what has been going on with Saitama. People or other heroes have been taking credit, or they've been getting acknowledged instead of Saitama, and they just have completely not even noticed Saitama's doing all this work. So it goes to show you what the next goal is for the series. So all those anime-onlys have been asking, is One Punch Man going to develop a plot? Like, is One Punch Man just gonna be episodic, where Saitama goes in and fucking wrecks a monster or supervillain like it's nothing? Is that what the series is gonna be about? That's what many anime-onlys have been asking, and now that this was revealed, I guess you all got your answer. No, One Punch Man is not going to turn into episodic. The first beginning stages of it, yes, it is episodic, but it does turn into a plot. It does get a serious plot, and we will be seeing this very soon, especially with what we're getting into now with this, you know, trying to make a name for yourself. So Saitama right now, he's trying to make a name for himself, and Genos is also going to be coming alongside of him and being his disciple. So there's definitely going to be a plot here. So like I said, don't worry, anime only, so you're going to be getting that. And it's going to be quite fun as well. So I want to take a few moments to actually point out how funny this episode is and making fun of shonens. Look at the beginning of this episode, okay? The entire beginning of the episode is introducing our villains. They're hammerheads. They're coming in and they're fucking up the entire town. They're just destroying people, they don't want to work, and they're blowing up buildings because, you know, these people are rich and they probably got their money illegally. So, that's the main villains of this episode. So, they're pretty big. Like, they're a pretty big threat because, I mean, they're going around, they're wrecking everybody. I mean, they have these power suits that are destroying things. So, they're pretty strong. But, I mean, if you compare them to Saitama, they're not really that strong. But still, well, let's not really level these guys to Saitama all the time. We gotta really factor in that if Saitama wasn't around, a lot of these different villains are a huge threat. Like, look at, you know, Kabuto in the last episode, okay? If Saitama wasn't there, that dude would probably wreck a lot of people. He'd probably kill a lot of people. So, we gotta take a few moments to just, you know, throw Saitama out of the equation for a second and really consider how big of a threat some of these characters are. So this was kind of a different type of episode, or displaying One Punch Man's power scheme. For instance, seeing how Sonic went up against these hammerheads, and the way he fought him, it was more of a balanced fight. Even though Sonic was kind of stronger, it was more of a balanced fight. It just goes to show you how strong Saitama is in terms of everybody else. But let's get back into the points I was trying to talk about a second ago. So, if you did not notice, there was about a couple moments in this episode that was making fun of shonen, which One Punch Man does quite a bit. But if you take a moment to think about how the villains got introduced and how Saitama's like, oh, these villains, they're just doing stuff. I don't have any motivation to go out and handle them. That's what Saitama was saying. Like, he's like, why would I want to go out there and just handle these guys? I don't feel like doing it. So he was just saying, like, it's none of my business. And as the news reporter continued to tell the story, we found out that anyone with a bald head, well, they're targeted and they could most likely be a villain. So Saitama's like, oh shit! That means since I am bald, I might be targeted as a villain. And I don't need that kind of crap. I mean, I don't need that. I mean, I don't need people thinking I'm a villain when I walk on the street. So he's like, oh crap, I'm worried about this. And so his entire motivation to intervene and fight these people wasn't because of a selfless desire to save the citizens or a selfless desire to save his friends and family. No, it was not like that. This desire that Saitama had was him protecting his image. That scene right there is priceless. Just thinking about that for a moment of how Saitama fought these guys, or wanted to fight them, because he wanted to protect his image. Process that and think about how hilarious that is in terms of other shonen characters. Back on to some of the funny things of this episode, like the skyscraper. When you saw the skyscraper, like the first skyscraper go down, like when the hammerheads are walking up and they're about to take them, you know, the skyscraper down, like, oh, this building looks like, you know, someone got money by illegal means. They tear down this skyscraper, and then they realize that it was the wrong skyscraper. So they just killed a bunch of people on accident. And then they proceed to go to the next skyscraper, in which the next skyscraper is called the Golden Turd. Such a fitting name. Like, just the way the characters just straight up say, like, oh, the public calls it the Golden Turd. I think that makes it funnier in that entire scene, because, I mean, all of us as, you know, watchers of One Punch Man, when we saw that skyscraper with, like, the turd shape on top of the building that was golden, I think we were all thinking, like, that's a giant-ass piece of shit on top of that skyscraper. We were probably all thinking that. And then when the characters just come out and say, oh, they call that the Golden Turd, I think that just makes the entire atmosphere or the comedy right there so much better. Just to hear that from the characters expressing that. Now, the final moments of the episode, however, we get into Speed of Sonic versus Saitama, and the way the fight turns out, it's pretty much how I think we should all have expected to turn out, Saitama winning. But what's funny about it is Saitama didn't even really try to fight him. Like, he didn't want to fight him at all. He was just sitting there allowing Sonic to playtest his moves. to see how fast he is, how strong he was. And that priceless moment to when Sonic comes in and is about to strike Saitama from the back, and Saitama turns his face around real quickly, and you had it to where Sonic couldn't even keep up. If you look closely in the animation, Sonic could not keep up with his face. It was that fast when he turned it and spoke, and it just goes to show you how fast, you know, Saitama is. Because, think about this. Sonic said he's faster than sound, okay? He proved this point. So if he's faster than sound, how fast is Saitama? There you go. More bars to try to compare Saitama to other characters, since many want to try to compare him to different type of characters in the anime verse. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this week's episode of One Punch Man. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.